Sixers fans, how we feeling out there? Hey y'all, my name is Lauren Gordon. Some of you may already know me on social media as Lauren Fan of the Year. Others may have just stumbled upon this podcast, but either way, I want to first thank all of you for tuning in to season 2, episode 2 of my very first podcast. I'm just a Sixers fan, the Lauren Fan of the Year story. Now let's continue the story. Okay, y'all, the time is now around December 2019. I now identify as Lauren Fan of the Year, and for the first time in my life, I am learning who I am. I am learning to love myself and not look to others for any validation. I knew my own happiness was an inside job, and it was my responsibility. My kids were now grown, and for the first time in my life, I could just focus on me and my happiness. I made a conscious decision that regardless of the circumstances, I would always find joy in all things. And it was in these moments that I would feel the presence of God. So that was the plan. Do things that make me happy. Now, of course, I found happiness, joy, and success in other things, such as time with my family, my dog Murphy, traveling, good food, and just knowing that I lived a wonderful life. But it's just that watching my Sixers was the one thing that I did for myself, that I would not compromise and I was unapologetic for. Okay, now let's talk Sixers. On December the 7th, we played the Cleveland Cavaliers, and at halftime, we had the biggest lead at the half in Sixers franchise history. Ben had a monster game. He made another 3, his second career three-pointer, and had a career-high 34 points. Now, y'all, this was the Ben Simmons that I knew and loved. Remember, I told y'all in the last episode that around this time, the fans were beginning to turn on Ben. So I was glad that he had a good game just to quiet the noise. And I posted on social media, Ben is playing like a player possessed. He must have ate his damn Wheaties this morning. Ha! Y'all, we killed the Cavs 141-94. It was a 47-point win, and we were 11-0 at home. 11-0, y'all. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 11-0 at home. And we even had a Frosty freeze out that night. I always look forward to my free Frosty the next day. On December the 12th, I was invited to a private Sixers watch party at Parks Casino. I saw Anthony Gargano, Dr. J. Y'all, it was fun. But I know I sound redundant, but they're always fun because there's always plenty of food, drinks, music, raffles, all with fellow Sixers, season ticket holders. And I already told y'all how much I love these events, right? Well, y'all, my Sixers luck that month was in full effect because that night I won a raffle prize. It was an autographed photo of Trey Burke. Remember him? Y'all, he was a cutie. I love Trey Burke. I thought he should have gotten more time on the floor so we could see exactly what he could do. Well, anyway, it was another piece of memorabilia to add to my growing Sixers collection. And the game that night, y'all, was so memorable because we played our nemesis, the Boston Celtics, and the teams were beginning to figure out that Ben was not going to shoot, no matter what. In fact, that reminded me of a time when Coach Brett Brown challenged him to shoot a certain number of shots per game. Now, he didn't have to make the shots. He just had to attempt the shot. And Ben simply would not do it. And there were no repercussions. Now, I didn't know if it was a mental block or, as I mentioned earlier, a fear of failure. But as talented as Ben was with his defense and distributing the ball on offense, to me, it was wild that he thought that he could be this great player in the NBA without having to shoot. It made no sense. Now, Ben could score when he was in that dunker's position. And it wasn't like he couldn't shoot, because the 3 times when he did make the 3-pointer, the shot looked good. I thought his form looked good. We witnessed him making threes. So what the hell was the problem? Well, I remember during that game against Boston, when the game was winding down, the Celtics intentionally fouled Ben to put him on the line, knowing that he wouldn't or couldn't shoot. But thank goodness, Ben made both buckets. We beat the Celtics 115-109, and I made a Facebook post. I ain't going to lie. When they intentionally fouled Ben and he had to go to the line, I was nervous as hell. But Ben pulled all the way through with 2 clutch free throws. I was so happy for Ben, and I was hoping this was the turning point that he needed. Y'all, that was a good-ass game, because Embiid had a double-double, and I remember him getting props from Barkley and Shaq, who had criticized him earlier that week. Y'all, Embiid had 38 points, 13 rebounds, and 36 minutes. Tobias had 23 points, and even though Ben hit those clutch free throws, he ended the game with a measly 7 points. So basically, we had 3 starters, Embiid, Tobias, Josh Richardson, with 20-plus points. We were 14-0 at home. We had a 20-7 record, and we had just moved up to 2nd in the Eastern Conference. Hashtag, here we come. The announcement of me winning Fan of the Year was still trending and had tremendous reach. I was interviewed by Chantel Belafonte, who was a contributor to the Philadelphia Tribune, the oldest continuously published African-American newspaper in the United States. And y'all, she came to my apartment for an in-person interview and took a photo of me standing in front of a bookcase with a few of my Sixers items in the corner of my living room. That article appeared on the front page of the Philadelphia Tribune with the headline, "Sixers fan slams dunk top honor in beating out competition." I later received that same front page article set on a beautiful cherry lacquered plaque that I could now proudly display with my Sixers collection. My mom and my sisters brought a bunch of the newspapers to hand out to family and friends, and it was nice to be recognized for doing what I enjoyed the most. On December 22nd, we played the Washington Wizards. My rep Alex called me the day before to confirm if I would be attending the game in person. I told her, yeah, of course. And we both laughed because she knew I never missed any games. She said, "Good. I have some extra tickets for your family. I really, really want your family to be there because I have another surprise for you." I was thinking, are you serious? Alex, you and the Sixers organization have already given me the best gift ever. Exposure that led me to win the Fan of the Year contest. Not to mention the incredible experiences of being recognized pregame with the game ball, being interviewed by Tom McGinnis, meeting and hobnobbing with a lot of the Sixers organization members, all the Sixers swag. I couldn't imagine anything better than that. She asked for my kids' names, and I ran down the names of my 4 children, and I told her that my niece Taylor was like my 5th child. Now, y'all may recall in an earlier episode, I believe episode 13, I discussed losing my younger sister, Kelly. Well, Taylor is Kelly's daughter, and she was around the same age as my kids, so I refer to her as my 5th child. So I wanted to make sure she was included. Alex was like, no problem. I freaking love Alex. She's always upbeat and chipper, and whenever we're together, there's this transference of feeling. Like, I know a lot of people say that, like, I'm high energy and, you know, I get very excited and I'm animated and, like, I have this bubbly personality. Well, Alex is the same way. So imagine when the two of us are together. And I didn't even know what was happening and I didn't know what to expect. But I was getting excited just because I could sense her excitement. And I didn't even know what to expect. She said, great, now that I have the names down, meet me at a special door at 5 p.m. with your family and don't be late. Well, y'all, anyone who knows me knows that I am always punctual. I am always one of the first to arrive at the games because I like to beat the traffic. I hate traffic. I like to pull into the lot, get a spot right there next to the door, even if I have to chill in the car until the doors open, or sometimes I'll walk over to Xfinity. It's part of my perfect little routine, and it takes the stress out of fighting through the traffic to get to the arena. But now I had to make sure all my kids could make it on time. And lucky for them, they all said yes, they could make it. And that made me happy because whatever it was, I was glad that my kids were going to be a part of it. I went to Facebook and made a post. My rep informed me that the Sixers organization will be continuing the celebration for me winning Fan of the Year at tomorrow night's game. I have no idea what that means, but I'm super excited. #humbled, #grateful. I was like a kid on Christmas Eve. I could not contain my excitement. What in the world could Alex possibly have up her sleeves? The following evening was game night. My kids and I arrived at the Wells Fargo Center on time at a designated VIP door where we met Alex. We squealed in delight as soon as we saw each other. We playfully did our celebratory dance as we greeted each other, and then Alex took me and my family through the entrance, through the concourse, and down to the Sixers floor. We watched warm-ups and pregame shoot-around. My kids, who were all dressed in Sixers gear, were already taking photos and just enjoying the moment. Alex stepped away, but quickly returned and hand gestured for us to follow her. She led us through a tunnel that opened up to a food court area that is typically occupied by season ticket holders who sit courtside, like the VIPs, celebrities, and whatnot. Now, y'all, I had been down there before when Kendall was a junior dancer, and I remember thinking, ooh, this is where the rich people get their concession instead of walking through the concourse like us common folk. Well, isn't this swanky? Well, now, here we were, seated in a booth with a long table as Alex handed us each the ultimate VIP wristband. She told us that wearing that wristband allowed us to have unlimited food, unlimited drinks anywhere in the Wells Fargo Center. What? Did she not know that me and my kids like to eat and drink and she told us to enjoy ourselves and she'd be back. Well, y'all, around this time, I had just stopped eating meat. So I was eating crab cakes, shrimp cocktail, sushi, salads, whatever I could get my hands on. And of course, lots and lots of margaritas. And I'm not talking about those little plastic cups either. Nah, y'all, I had my joint in one of those huge souvenir soda cups so that I didn't have to keep walking back and forth. I was thinking, this is heaven. This is Sixers heaven. It was awesome. We was eating good. We was drinking good. Shoot, we felt like we was in Disney World. Once we were done eating, Alex returned and told my kids that they could also get gear from the fan shop. I was like, what? Seriously? Then she told them that they would be sitting courtside. Are you freaking kidding me? I thought my head was going to pop just from all the excitement. Alex! I was in tears and I kept hugging her. This was incredible. Not only for me, but the Sixers organization was hooking my family up. Then she said she wanted to introduce me to someone. I quickly stood up and she introduced me to Michael Dunlap, Fansided Vice President of Corporate Communications and Business Development. Now, y'all, Michael and I, we had been emailing each other and briefly speaking on the phone, so it was nice to finally meet him in person and introduce him to my family. Now, y'all, at this point, it was still pregame, and the arena was starting to get full. You start seeing people like filling the seats and whatnot. And Michael and I were escorted to half court where I was presented the 2019 Fansided Fan of the Year award by Michael. I looked around the Wells Fargo Center and I saw fans. I saw my family. They were applauding and taking pictures and everyone was so happy for me. And I was thinking, this is wild. This cannot be real life. I couldn't believe this was happening to me. Like, I kept thinking, this is so unbelievable. This, exceeds my wildest dream. I remember standing at center court with Michael and the sound of applause, and I saw people snapping photos. And I remember the Sixers mascot, Franklin the dog, running up alongside me. And at that moment, Michael handed me my award. And the first thing I thought was, oh my goodness, it's so heavy. And when I looked down, y'all, it was beautiful. It is beautiful, I should say. It's this heavy crystal. And etched into it is 2019 Fansided Fan of the Year, and it has Lauren Gordon. And y'all, I was so emotional because I had never in all of my life ever received a trophy or that type of recognition. Looking back, I had been through a lot. I'm talking, I had lost my sister, I had lost relatives, I had lost my marriage, and I couldn't recall the last time I felt that good. And in that moment, I was feeling just joy, euphoria, just extreme happiness and gratitude. Now, Alex had my cell phone the entire time, and she was snapping pictures like crazy, capturing every moment. And I'm glad she did because it allowed me to stay present. After the presentation, Alex told my kids to make themselves comfortable because they had everything that they needed while she whisked me away. She introduced me to a bunch of people on every level, including Sixers president at the time, Chris Heck, who already knew who I was. This is insane. Alex was taking me around exclusive parts of the Wells Fargo Center I never even imagined existed. The players' entrance, pointing out the locker rooms, the media room. It's like a whole nother world under there. And I knew very few people got to have this experience. Alex showed me a private room and told me that my family and I were invited to meet there during halftime for a private party. More food, more drinks, music, and of course there were TVs everywhere so no one would miss a second of the game. I just kept hugging Alex and squeezing her so tight saying, Alex, seriously, this was the ultimate fan experience. So Alex had me walking down these private hallways and I would recognize photos of different players on the wall, past and present, and I would call them out by name. And of course, I got excited whenever I saw AI. And then somehow, Alex and I ended up at the end of this hallway. And she says, oh, look, there's the bell. And I gasped. And I was like, ah, that's the bell that is brought out before each game, before the player introduction, and a celebrity or some famous person is announced as the bell ringer. I couldn't believe it. I was standing right there at the bell. And I was hoping to get like photos next to the bell. Then Alex walked over to it and said, can you imagine coming to a game and seeing me ring the bell? And I cheered in delight. Yes, Al. Oh my God. As if I was like hyping up the situation. And then she said, you know what I thought would be really cool is if you rang the bell tonight. And then she pointed to me and I froze. Then it hit me. Oh my God. I was going to ring the bell before the game tonight. I immediately broke down in tears as I collapsed in Alex's arms. This was all so overwhelming for me, in a happy way, of course. And y'all, I'm not going to lie. I did the whole ugly cry. I'm talking snot coming out my nose and whatnot. And then I immediately gained composure once I realized Alex had video recorded my reaction to hearing the news that I was going to ring the bell. And at first I was so embarrassed because everyone who was like in the tunnel and in the hallway at the time, they was just staring at me. But then I quickly learned that everyone was in on this incredible surprise. It was like everything in my life was just getting better and better and better just by being a Sixers fan. Y'all, I was so excited, I could hardly contain myself. And then I was introduced to two gentlemen who are the bell handlers. And they would give me instructions on how to ring the bell and let me get in a few practice runs. Y'all, there is an art to ringing the bell. Now, I'm sure as Sixers fans, you have all seen the bell ceremony. And some bell ringers are better than others because it comes down to the timing. It comes down to hitting the sweet spot at the right time. This was my big moment. So when the bell handlers were giving me instructions on how to ring the bell, y'all, they had my undivided attention. This was the opportunity of a lifetime, and I had to get it right. And I thought about the other bell ringers before me. There were athletes, celebrities, musicians, VIP guests, and now I would be forever added to this elite list. Y'all, we talking names like M. Night Shyamalan, Kevin Hart, Michael B. Jordan, Will Smith, Ryan Phillippe, Meek Mills, Lil Dicky, past and present Eagles and Phillies players. It is an extreme honor to be added on this list of people who have rang the Sixers bell. I took this rehearsal very serious. So after listening to the bell handlers, I did a few practice tries and I was ready to go. I followed Alex through the tunnel out onto the Sixers court where she pointed out where my family was seated. And once I locked eyes with my kids, we emphatically waved to each other. We were blowing kisses back and forth and they were clapping for me. And I just wanted to cry because I was filled with so much emotions. Like, I couldn't believe this was happening. And I remember thinking, please God, slow down this very moment so that I can fully take it all in. The lights dimmed as everyone rose to sing our national anthem. And then the lights dimmed even more, almost going completely dark, when I walked out with the bell to center court. And then arena announcer Matt McCord announced, "The bell is a symbol of the city's unity and passion. Ringing tonight's bell, season ticket holder and Fansided 2019 Fan of the Year, Lauren Gordon." This was clearly one of the best nights of my entire life. Thanks for tuning in, y'all. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and share. And be sure to tune in next week as we continue the story.